On a fundamental level, why do you think it's important that young lawyers consider this kind of work, civil rights litigation?
So I think there's both a selfish reason why it matters and a uh, selfless reason why it matters. I think for the self-interested piece of it, um, doing this kind of work is an incredible way to get really great experience early in your career, depending on where you go. I think I remember when I went out to the large law firm in in Los Angeles, straight out of law school. It was a great law firm and worked on some really high profile, cool cases. But I might be on a team of 20 lawyers for a given case, and the sliver of the case that I might be given would be quite narrow. And I certainly wouldn't be the person that would be showing up to argue the case in court. But there's a lot of opportunities out there to take on pro bono matters. You could, for example, take on a pro bono appeal to a U.S. Court of Appeals, and those can give you opportunities to essentially, even as a very junior attorney, be the lead counsel on a case and to be able to write the briefs and counsel with your client and appear before the court and make the argument. And not only that, but the court is usually pretty happy to have pro bono counsel come into a case because it takes a case that would otherwise be a case with one litigant being unrepresented and not able to raise arguments very effectively, and actually bringing somebody that can bring some legal expertise and a lot of passion and drive and time and research onto it. So that can be a really great thing if you're just looking for a way to do important work and advance yourself professionally. But I think kind of regardless of what type of issue it is, the more selfless and I think more important reason is that it allows you to use your law degree for something that is important and something that protects the rights that are most fundamental to everybody and that are really important to a thriving society. There's a lot of legal work that can sometimes feel like you don't really get to put your soul into it very much. And this is very much something where I think anyone that does it and finds something that they're passionate about can really find it to be a meaningful experience where you can actually do something impactful and good.
Yeah, well said. You're selling me really well. Yeah, that's probably something that people don't think about. Certainly, this is extremely meaningful work, and I think anybody can see that. But there is also great opportunity to become the best attorney you can be, while at the same time being a part of cases that really mean the world to some people. And those are several dimensions as to why this is the kind of work that people should consider. But what about some of the tough parts? I know that these are cases that often go on for a pretty long time. They have long arcs, and there's sometimes they go on for years. Is that tough? Or are there some dimensions of this work that really take the wind out of you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's certainly possible. And in terms of the long-term nature of cases, I guess I would say that that's something that is kind of inherent to many areas of law. Whenever litigation is concerned, the common denominator usually tends to be that it's protracted and it takes a while to get to the end point of the litigation. But it can certainly be emotionally draining, and particularly for the clients, it can be emotionally draining. We've had some clients that we've represented in the clinic that have felt enormous pressure to try to settle the case because it's just kind of an ongoing traumatic experience for them to kind of relive the discrimination that they experienced and to press forward with the litigation. So and thinking myself about what it takes to have the guts to pursue litigation, I don't think it's for the faint of heart to do something like that, and it can take a lot of patience. And to some extent, both I can say this from personal experience, and then I know my students have experienced this too. That it's not just emotionally draining for the client, but it can also be very much for the lawyer as well.
Yeah, I can see that. I can imagine it can be rewarding work, and just as much can also be trying work. So I do want to ask, in cases like these with really high stakes and often really high public interest, is it possible to stay grounded while navigating these things that are very emotionally and sometimes even politically complex?
Yeah, and I think this is part of it's both part of the challenge, but also part of the reward and part of the beauty of doing this kind of work. Is I think the greater the struggle that you experience, the greater the happiness and the joy that you get on the back end of it, as you are ultimately able to get a good result for the client. And I think in terms of learning how to be grounded, it can be challenging. I think it's good to start to experience this as even as a law student doing something like a clinic, where you can try to. I think you never want to lose sight of the human element of a case, and so you do want to. You don't want to let go of your emotions and your feelings as you're representing a client, and I think it's important to engage with your client on that level. But you also need to find a way to balance that against having some level of being able to kind of look at the case from the outside and look at things objectively, and to try to provide that objective advice to your client to help them to reach the best outcome that they can.